Bitcoin traders accused of rejecting the old Naira notes. Meningitis break out in Jigawa, NCDC demands caution. Plus, death toll rises above 35,000 in Turkey, Syria quake. Hello, this is News Live on Viewer Television. I am Dorcas Bello. Thanks for joining us. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday afternoon met with the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, that's Governor Godwin Emefiele, at the State House in Abuja. Emefiele arrived at the villa around 1 p.m. shortly after the president returned from the police force headquarters, where he had unveiled some patrol vehicles to be deployed for the upcoming elections earlier today. Now, in total, the CBN chief has encountered the president at least 6 times, both privately and in the company of other government officials. Recall, Emefiele attended last Friday's Council of State meeting, where he assured the council that the new Naira note scarcity would not hinder the free flow of logistics during the electoral exercise. Now, more states have joined the legal battle against the federal government over the currency redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Attorney General of Ekiti, Bayelsa, Sokoto, and Rivers states told newsmen that their states were set to join as co-plaintiffs in the suit filed by the governments of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states. The states are opposing the February 10th deadline for the currency swap policy on the grounds that it was inflicting suffering on their citizens. Kano and Ondo had earlier joined the 3 states which filed the suit at the Supreme Court. This is as the Nigerian Governors Forum warned that the crisis occasioned by the CBN policy might cause another economic recession in the country. Now, Justice Chukwukejuku Aneke of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, has sent an actress Oluwadarasimi Omosheyin to Kirikiri Correctional Center pending the determination of her bail application for spraying Naira notes at a public event. The actress was apprehended by operatives of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Fraud-Related Offences Commission on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, along Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. The ICPC, however, handed her to the Economic Financial Crimes Commission for the proper investigation. Omosheyin, who was arraigned on Monday by EFCC before the court on a 2-count charge. The Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, has said that the agency had an emergency meeting in Jigawa State over meningitis outbreak in the state. Adetifa said the Emergency Operations Center meeting reviewed the response, identified challenges, and profiled solutions to the outbreak. The NCDC boss disclosed this in a series of tweets via his Twitter handle. Meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges, a thin layer of the connective tissue that covers the brain and the spinal cord. Now, a non-profit organization, Jealous Development Initiatives, also called JDI, has officially launched a software application, J Blood Match, to address the shortfall in unpaid blood donation in Nigeria. J Blood Match app, which seamlessly connects unpaid blood donors with those in need of blood to survive, was unveiled at Transcorp Hotel in Abuja. Now, founder of JDI, Angela Ochubai, and solution architect of the J Blood Match, in her opening remarks, says the free service was initially created in November 2019 as an artificial intelligence on Telegram, but rising popularity across FCT leads to this new app with the hope of nationwide adoption for the solution.
We have been able to have over 952 blood donors registered on our platform. And then we had about 227 requests that have come through, and the AI was able to connect about 107.
WHO have shown that Nigeria needs an average of 1.8 million pints of blood annually to keep the health of our people safe and sound. The Blood March app attempts to bridge the gap by swiftly connecting donors and those in need.
The architecture around it is amazing. People are going to be able to have notifications directly on their emails, telling them that they should go donate blood to any particular individual closest to them.
Well, when is life returns? Now, ahead of the forthcoming elections, the human rights advocacy group Social, Economic Rights and Accountability Project has petitioned the International Criminal Court to investigate the growing cases of violence in Nigeria. Now, details of this and many more comes to you right after this break. Do stay with us.
Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Live on Viewer Television. Now, a recap of our top stories. State governments and the police command begin clamping down traders accused of rejecting the old narrow notes. Meningitis breaks out in Jigawa and CDC demands caution. Plus, death toll rises above 35,000 in Turkey, Syria quake. Now, as the nation prepares for the 2023 general elections, the Gombe State Coordinator of the National Youth Service Corps, that's Adda Imoni, has called on the 2023 Batch A Stream 1 Corps members to not to be involved in partisan politics. She made this known during her briefing at the NYSC Temporal Orientation Camp in the Amada area of the state. She maintained that CUB members must make it a point of duty to give their best as ad hoc staffs of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Speaking on the cashless policy, the NYSC coordinator disclosed that the arrangement had been concluded with the Gombe Line and Gombawa Transport Motors to convey CUB members to their places of family assignment and states of relocation as the case may be. Now, human rights advocacy group Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project says it has petitioned the International Criminal Court to investigate the growing cases of violence in Nigeria ahead of the forthcoming general election. In a statement, its deputy director Kolawole Oludare said the country had witnessed no fewer than 4,000 cases of violent attacks and 11,000 fatalities between January 1, 2022 and February 3, 2023. He further said, if the situation is not addressed, the pre-election violence might escalate and lead to post-election violence in the country. The petition dated February 11th, 2023, was addressed to the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan. Now, the United Nations Children Fund, that's UNICEF, and the National Economic Summit Group have launched a new partnership aimed at addressing child rights violation and poverty in Nigeria. The partnership, which was supported by the federal government, will focus on aligning the nation's poverty reduction strategy with child and national multidimensional poverty index. It will also help in reviewing social sector policies towards reducing child poverty and implementing presidential-level accountability measures for reporting and feedback on child rights and poverty in Nigeria.
We keep saying that our children are the leaders of tomorrow. And so it's important that we must then invest and plant the seeds to ensure that these children will truly become the leaders of tomorrow. And so if a child suffers and have negative growth or negative development as an early child, you are laying a not so good foundation for tomorrow. And for us at the NSG, our focus is always to promote the modernization of the Nigerian economy into one that is sustainable, that is globally competitive.
Now in Bauchi, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital reveals another breakthrough in its clinical activities, having successfully conducted hundreds of brain surgeries. Now in this exclusive interview with Viewer Television, the head of surgery department of the hospital, Dr. Saliu Makama, says the acquisition of modern equipment now sets the hospital at a whole new level of endo-urology operation. Now here is our correspondent Awal Hassan with this report.
Brain surgery conducted by a consultant neurosurgeon at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Bauchi. ATBUTH, head of surgery department Dr. Salihu Makama, says this is one out of hundreds conducted in this hospital.
If I say, in fact, I think it's hundreds, in hundreds. The brain surgery is in hundreds, so that is just what I can tell you, and of various types, even the pediatric age group, people, some children born with big head hydrocephalus, they used to do shunts, on them, and then even open brain surgeries to evacuate maybe bleeding, intracranial bleeding, bleeding into the head because of accidents, some tumors, of the brain, the neurosurgical unit, actually they are doing very well, and I think they are handling that aspect of surgery.
These and many other complicated series of surgeries are made possible by the acquisition of modern equipment at these hospitals.
Well, depending on what you do, depends on the extent of equipment at your disposal. I know that in urology units, which I do, we do cystoscopies, and take biopsies, and then again, we remove foreign bodies, in the bladder, in the ureter, stone crushing without opening patients. And then we are going to the next level, actually, with the acquisitions of modern equipment, for urology unit. We are going for full endourology, operations.
The Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi, is aiming to advance the community and discourage medical tourism.
With these ones, we will be very much comfortable, to, in fact, compete with what is being done elsewhere, and by so doing, we are going to reduce remarkably this medical tourism that people used to go out, to other countries, Egypt, India, China, and even the Western countries, Europe and whatever. So with this one,
this hospital also provides a conducive platform for teaching and learning, and this is how the students learn. Awal Hassan, Viewer TV News, Bauchi.
Ben Jones, that's the British Deputy High Commissioner in Lagos, says UK exports to Nigeria amounted to £3.3 billion in 4 quarters of 2022. This, according to him, puts the trade volume between the United Kingdom and Nigeria at £5.5 billion. Marilyn Jones gave the figures in an interview with newsmen in Lagos. He said that the UK government was exploring ways to improve the trading relations with Nigeria, including partnering with it to bring electric meters.
Was the last set of figures that we use, and roughly 3.3 billion of that is the UK to Nigeria, 2.2 billion going the other way, pounds, sorry, 5.5 billion pounds. We want that to be bigger both ways. So one of the things we introduced, which will come into force in the spring of this year, is we call it the Developing Country Trading Scheme, which would essentially mean that for Nigeria, 99% of the goods Nigeria currently exports to the UK would be done so duty-free.
You're still watching News Live. Now we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, News Live continues. Now, in the world of business, the International Monetary Fund says the federal government has projected to spend 82% of its revenue on interest payments in 2023. According to the IMF, external debt, including that of the private sector, will rise to $121.6 billion, with external reserves climbing to $37.5 billion. Now, it disclosed this in a table of projections in its IMF and Execution Board consultation with Nigeria's summary. And the projection shows an improvement in the share of the government's revenue that was being used as interest payment, with interest payment falling from 96.3% in 2022 to 82% in 2023. State governments and the police commands have begun clamping down on traders and supermarkets accused of rejecting the old naira note. According to this report, the authorities in Kano, Sokoto, Katsina, Bayelsa, Zamfara, and Kwara states have issued directives to security agencies to deal with anyone who turned down the old 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira notes, respectively. The development was sequel to the confusion caused by the failure of the Central Bank of Nigeria to issue directives to commercial banks on the extension or otherwise of the February 10th deadline for the currency swap, following last Wednesday's Supreme Court ruling restraining the federal government from enforcing the time limit earlier fixed by the Apex Bank. Now, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association has said that the Central Bank of Nigeria does not understand the naira crisis challenges, pointing out that the Apex Bank appears not to have a solution to the economic problems caused by the naira redesign policy. In a statement, the Director General of NECA, that's Wale Oyerinde, said that the situation had allowed speculators and economic saboteurs to have a field day at the expense of legitimate businesses and the economy. Oyerinde said for a key monetary policy like naira redesign, the Apex Bank was expected to have carried out a detailed analysis and simulation of the likely social and economic challenges that might arise and provide definite response to them. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council has expressed its commitment to ensure that in 2023 Nigeria makes more than $4.82 billion in its generation from non-oil exports business in 2023. Now, Ekiti State Coordinator of NEPC, Iyabode Agbe, said that the council, under the leadership of the Chief Executive Officer, that is Yakusask Israel, will continue to promote the development of non-oil export in order to safeguard the nation's economy. Having spoken at Ekiti at a one-day technical and training session on product packaging for reporters and small and medium enterprises in Ekiti State, the coordinator, who described the population of Nigeria's SMEs as one of the greatest assets of the country in its economic diversification agenda, urging the entrepreneurs on product packaging and labeling to what she described as essential driver for sustainable marketing of made in Nigeria products in the export market. In the international scene, shops in the Turkish city Antakya's earthquake-damaged areas are reportedly being looted and ransacked amidst chaos and devastation caused by recent earthquakes, even as search and rescue operations are continuing to try and find survivors in the rubble of that's after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake and strong aftershocks. Shopkeepers are being forced to band together to protect their shops from looting that has become the rife in the area. Now, in the footage shared by newsmen, shop makers and shopkeepers can be seen chasing a thief who seems to be apparently beaten by the locals.
Bekliyoruz. Yağmacılar evlerimizi yağmalıyorlar. Sönecek hiçbir şey yok maalesef. Yani yıkıldık, sarsıldık. Kabus gibi şu yaşadıklarımız.
Bir iki gün buraya hiç yardım falan gelmedi. İnsanlar da haklı olarak girdiler. Ama yani tabii bazı insanlar da acayip geçiyor. Anka stresi ocak çalıyor için biçme makinesi çalıyor. Mesela bak karşı tarafta gördüğünüz dükkanı da yağmalamışlar.
Now, evacuations are underway and tens of thousands of people are without power. Cyclone Gabrielle batters New Zealand's North Island, where the largest city is still recovering from record rain last month. As the former tropical cyclone skidded into New Zealand's coastlines, the Met Service issued its highest ever number of red weather warnings for the intense rain and gale force winds, including the Auckland, the largest city which was hit by flooding a fortnight ago. Now, the city's 1.7 million residents were asked to be vigilant and prepare for the worst. The city could see up to 200 millimeters of rain on Monday, with the Coromandel area of the East Inland for 400 millimeters. The Met Service has said this. Thousands of Israelis protested over the country's parliament on Monday ahead of a parliamentary vote on a bill that would give politicians greater power over appointing judges, part of a judicial overhaul proposed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. The committee vote expected to take place after a stormy session marked the opening salvo by Netanyahu and his allies in a plan that has divided the country, triggered mass protests, and even drawn concerns from U.S. President Joe Biden. Now, trainloads of protesters arriving in Jerusalem streamed up excavators to the main city railway station, chanting democracy, cheering and whistling and waving the national flag. A few hundred others gathered in protest at the city's western wall, the holiest site where Jews can pray. Now, the toll from last week's earthquake in Turkey and Syria rose above 35,000 on Monday as rescue teams started to wind down the search for survivors, and the aid efforts shifted to hundreds of thousands of people made homeless. 8 days after the 7.8 magnitude tremor, Turkish media reported a handful of people were still being pulled from the rubble as excavators dug through the ruined cities. The confirmed death toll rose to 35,224 as officials and medics say 31,643 people have died in Turkey and 3,581 in Syria after the February 6th earthquake, the fifth deadliest since the start of the 21st century. Now, the United Nations has decried the failure to ship desperately needed aid to war-torn regions of Syria and warned that the toll is set to rise even higher as experts caution that hopes of finding a life dim with each passing day. Now, the Super Bowl halftime show that had many frantically wondering whether or not Rihanna is pregnant again. A representative for the Barbadian singer confirmed that she's indeed expecting a second child with her partner as A$AP Rocky. She performed some of her greatest hits as fans gush over her performance, her red ensemble and her baby bump. Now, as the 34-year-old billionaire songstress rubbed her stomach during the performance of her songs, the internet responded with both her name and the word pregnant, which began to trend on Twitter within minutes. The couple has been mostly private about the details surrounding their growing family, but Rocky recently gushed about being a full dad on Apple Music once Zayn Lowe. Now, during a news conference ahead of the Super Bowl, Rihanna, who is performing the halftime show, says she's honored to be performing during the halftime show. The Barbadian singer, who had her first child less than a year ago, says that becoming a mother has added new meaning to her. Now, the National Football League revealed in September that Rihanna will perform at the Super Bowl halftime. Dakota has obliged ladies to treat their men with maximum pampering as Valentine's Day, aka Lover's Day, is in a few hours away. The soul singer spoke on behalf of all the men on how they would be treated on Valentine's Day. In a tweet, Dakota pointed out that why every lady ought to spoil her man right on the day, he says. Now, according to him, men deserved all the love and all the pampering because it's been a turbulent year. Now, that's all that we can take on News Live tonight. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. Federal High Court remands actress in Kiri for spraying narrow notes. Meningitis breaks out in Jigawa and CDC demands caution. Plus, death toll rises above 35,000 in Turkey, Syria. Many thanks for watching News Live. I am Dorcas Bellu. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. It's good night from this studio. Bye.